Welcome to Our Amy the Ahole, where today's story is about OP demanding her in-laws pay her $170,000 a year. Yep, you heard that right. The twist: she wants this money just to be a stay-at-home mom. It sounds bold, maybe even outrageous. But is she really the a-hole for asking for financial compensation when giving up her career? Or is she simply protecting herself? Grab your popcorn because this story dives into money, family, and some serious drama. So, AITA for demanding this money from my future in-laws? I'm 27 years old and work in the tech industry. After years of studying and grinding, I've built a career that pays me about $170,000 a year. This isn't just a paycheck for me. It's a source of pride, independence, and security. I love what I do, and I'm good at it. I didn't come from a wealthy family, so I had to work hard to get where I am today. A few years ago, I met Tim, my fiancé. He's a teacher, which I admire because it takes passion to do that job despite the low pay. Tim is kind, thoughtful, and supportive. Our relationship grew quickly, and we're planning to get married soon. While I make way more money than Tim, it's never been an issue between us. But here's the catch. Tim's family is very wealthy. Old money wealthy. That means big estates, trust funds, and very traditional views about how a family should operate. That part of our lives has started to bring tension, especially around money and roles in marriage. I never thought this would be the battleground for our relationship. But here we are. Tim's family is what you'd call old money. His parents grew up with generations of wealth, trust funds, and a lifestyle that revolves around tradition. They live in a big estate, spend summers at the family lake house, and expect certain things from their children, including Tim. From the moment I met them, I felt the weight of their expectations. They're distant, formal, and, honestly, a little controlling. They value tradition above all else, and that includes strict ideas about gender roles in marriage. Tim's parents believe the husband should be the breadwinner and the wife should stay home, take care of the house, and raise the kids. At first, I brushed it off as old-fashioned. But over time, subtle comments and awkward conversations made it clear that their views run deep. They seemed less interested in getting to know me and more focused on whether I fit their ideal daughter-in-law mold. The power dynamics felt unbalanced, and I started noticing red flags, especially when it came to money and independence. After Tim and I got engaged, we decided it was time to share the news with his parents. We invited them over for dinner, expecting a warm, happy moment. Instead, the conversation took a surprising turn. Almost immediately, they brought up their expectations for married life. Specifically that I should quit my job after the wedding and become a stay-at-home mom. At first, I thought they were joking. I laughed it off, assuming it was just an old-fashioned comment. But they were deadly serious. They told me that it was emasculating for Tim that I earn more than he does, and that a woman's role is to support her husband by taking care of the home and children. They made it clear that this was non-negotiable and part of their family tradition. I was confused. I had never considered giving up my career, especially since I worked hard to achieve financial independence. The idea felt outdated and unfair. I wanted to support Tim, but not at the cost of my own future. The more they insisted, the more disturbed I became. It felt like they wanted to erase my identity and sacrifice my ambitions just to fit their ideal. This conversation was a turning point. I realized that marriage in this family wouldn't just be about love. It was also about money, control, and expectations that didn't sit right with me. After that dinner, I started doing the math. Quitting my $170,000 a year job meant giving up a huge chunk of my financial independence. Over the years, that loss would add up to millions in income, raises, and career growth. It wasn't just about the money, though. I thought about the risks. No savings of my own, a big gap on my resume, and being completely dependent on Tim or his family for support. What if the marriage didn't work out? What if I got divorced or had to go back to work after years away? Starting over in my late 30s or 40s with no recent experience would be nearly impossible. I realized that giving up my career wasn't just a sacrifice. It was a huge gamble. So, I came up with a solution. Since Tim's family has plenty of money, I asked if they could set up an irrevocable trust for me. The trust would pay me my current salary, with yearly increases to match raises and promotions, for the next 35 years, basically replacing my income while I stayed home. I made it clear this wasn't about greed. It was about protection and fairness. I wasn't asking for a handout, just security. I wanted to honor their traditions without losing myself or my financial safety net. The moment I made my proposal, the room changed. Tim's parents went from polite to furious. They called me ridiculous for even suggesting they give me money for quitting my job. According to them, it was my duty as a wife and future mother to sacrifice without expecting payment. They accused me of being a gold digger, trying to manipulate their son for financial gain. Their voices rose as they questioned my motives, and I felt their judgment like a heavy weight. "How dare you ask us for money? You're insulting the family," they said. Tim barely spoke up. His silence made me feel even more isolated. Was he ashamed of me? Did he agree with his parents? The tension in the room was unbearable, and I could see the disappointment and anger in Tim's eyes, too. After that night, the relationship between me and his parents was strained beyond repair. They started excluding me from family events and whispered behind my back. Tim seemed stuck in the middle, unsure how to support me without angering his parents. The fallout was immediate. I felt alone and misunderstood, even though I believed my request was reasonable. It was clear that money, tradition, and pride were tangled up in a conflict much bigger than me. The question remained, how far was I willing to push this fight for my future? After facing such harsh rejection, I decided to make a second offer, something I thought was even fairer. I told Tim's parents that I was willing to sign a prenuptial agreement, with a clause protecting me if I gave up my career. This clause would ensure that, in case of divorce or if I stayed home, I would be entitled to half of Tim's trust fund. I believed this was a reasonable middle ground. I'd be sacrificing my income, but at least I'd have a safety net to fall back on. It wasn't about greed. It was about protecting my future and acknowledging the risks I was taking. After all, Tim's trust fund was substantial, and this felt like a fair trade-off, but once again, they refused outright. They insisted that marriage means sacrifice without expecting compensation. To them, even a prenup was a betrayal, proof that I wasn't committed enough to the family or to Tim. Their refusal felt like a slap in the face. I started to feel my frustration building. Why should I be expected to give up everything with zero security? Why was I being punished for wanting fairness and respect? The more I tried to find common ground, the more they dug their heels in. It became clear that my boundaries and concerns were unwelcome, and their idea of tradition left no room for compromise. Tim has been caught in the middle of this storm from the start. On one hand, he feels loyal to his family and respects their views, which have shaped him since childhood. On the other, he loves me and wants to support my career and independence. His silence during the tough conversations has been frustrating. Sometimes he tries to defend me, but it often ends with him backing down to avoid family drama. I can see the emotional toll this is taking on him. He feels torn, guilty, and overwhelmed. This ongoing tension has forced me to question the fairness of our relationship. Is this marriage something I want if I have to fight just to keep my identity? Am I being selfish for wanting equal footing, or is this a necessary fight for respect and dignity? Tim's struggle makes me wonder if we're truly partners, or if I'm expected to sacrifice everything for his family's expectations. The future feels uncertain, and I don't know how much longer I can hold on without losing myself. Feeling alone, I reached out to my mom to talk about everything. I explained the demands, the money conversations, and my frustrations. Her reaction surprised me. She said I was being too transactional, turning love and marriage into a business deal. Mom thinks I'm pushing too hard by insisting on financial guarantees. She told me marriage is about trust and compromise, not contracts and cash demands. Hearing this made me feel even more misunderstood. Instead of support, I got criticism from the one person I thought would have my back. It was a tough moment. I started questioning myself and wondering if I was being unreasonable. Yet, deep down, I still believe I have a right to protect myself. But now, more than ever, I feel isolated in this mess, caught between two families, both with their own expectations and no clear path forward. Sitting alone in the quiet of my apartment, I found myself wrestling with the biggest question. Am I asking for too much? Was I being selfish or unreasonable by wanting financial security if I gave up my career? The more I thought about it, the more tangled my feelings became. I love Tim deeply. I want to build a life with him, raise our kids, and support our family together. I'm willing to sacrifice a lot. The hours I'll spend with our children, the emotional labor of managing the household, the countless small tasks that go unnoticed but are essential. I'm ready to put in the work at home because I believe in family and partnership. But giving up my career? That's different. It's not just a job to me. It's my pride, my independence, my identity. Over the years, I've poured my heart and soul into my work, and it's been a source of strength and confidence. Walking away means more than just lost income. It means risking my future, creating a gap in my resume that no one might understand, and losing the ability to support myself if things go wrong. And that's where the fairness question hits hardest. Why should I carry all this risk while Tim's family sits comfortably on their wealth? I'm not asking for charity or greed, just a fair way to protect myself if I choose to follow their traditional plan. But then the doubt creeps in. Am I strong enough to hold my ground? Or will the pressure break me? Will I walk away from everything I've built, or fold under the weight of family expectations and tradition? Every day, that question hangs over me like a shadow, and I still don't know the answer. Finally, I had to make a choice. I sat down with Tim and told him, clearly and firmly, I will not give up my career without financial protection. If his parents won't agree to help provide security, then he and I need to figure out our own path forward. I explained that this wasn't a threat or an ultimatum. It was a boundary. I love him and want to be with him, but I can't sacrifice my entire future on the altar of tradition. If the family can't support that, then they need to accept that we'll make decisions as a couple. Tim looked torn, but understood. For the first time, I saw him stand up even if just a little against his parents' control. It was a small victory, but an important one. However, this stance pushed the tension with his parents to a breaking point. Their disappointment turned into anger, and soon after they started to withdraw and refuse to engage with me at all. The message was clear. Either I conform, or I'm out. This was the moment I realized this fight was bigger than just me. It was about challenging the family's expectations and asserting my worth. After I drew the line, Tim's parents cut off almost all communication with me. Invitations stopped coming, calls went unanswered, and family gatherings happened without me. I was no longer welcome in their world. Their treatment of Tim changed too. They began manipulating him emotionally, telling him things like, "She's changing you," and "You're forgetting where you come from." They tried to sow doubt and guilt, hoping to turn him against me. I watched helplessly as Tim struggled with the pressure from both sides, his family demanding loyalty and me needing support. The more they pushed, the more I felt like an outsider in the very family I was supposed to join. It hurt deeply. I wanted to be accepted, to build a life with Tim and his family, but their rejection made it clear that wasn't going to happen easily. My request for fairness was seen as betrayal. Despite the pain, I stood my ground. I knew that giving in would mean losing myself. The fallout has been hard, but it has also made me stronger and more certain of what I deserve. After days of tension and silence, Tim finally sat me down to talk. He'd been thinking hard, weighing his family's expectations against what we needed as a couple. In that moment, he surprised me. He told me he supported my stance fully. He said he was done letting his parents control our future and that he wanted us to plan our lives on our own terms, with or without their blessing. It was a small but powerful victory for me. Finally, someone in his family had my back. Tim admitted it wasn't easy. He felt torn, but in the end, he realized that our partnership mattered more than tradition or money from his parents. We agreed that our marriage would be a true partnership, one where both our needs and dreams mattered equally. This turning point gave me hope that we could face the future together, no matter the obstacles. Even if his parents continued to push back, at least Tim was by my side. And sometimes, that's all you really need to start fighting for what's right. So, here I am, sharing my story with you all. I love Tim and want to be with him, but I refuse to give up my career without any financial safety net. I'm asking for fairness, a way to protect myself if I become a stay-at-home mom as his family expects. Am I the asshole for demanding compensation or a prenup to safeguard my future? Is it wrong to want security for the sacrifices I'm willing to make? I'm eager to hear your thoughts and judgments. Let's break this down. OP isn't greedy or manipulative. She's simply being responsible. Choosing to give up a career is a huge life change, and asking for financial protection in return is reasonable, especially when the family involved is wealthy. The parents' reaction reeks of hypocrisy, expecting OP to sacrifice everything without so much as a safety net, yet refusing to help her secure her future. It's unfair and controlling. OP's concerns are valid. Setting clear boundaries and demanding respect for her independence isn't just smart, it's necessary. She's not asking for charity. She's asking for fairness in a partnership. So, based on the facts, OP deserves support and understanding, not criticism. She's standing up for herself and proving that marriage should be about equality, not control. OP gets a solid 0 out of 5 buttholes for standing up for herself and asking for fairness. Tim's parents score a harsh 4.5 out of 5 for their controlling and unfair behavior. Tim earns 2 out of 5 for sitting on the fence too long, but eventually choosing a side. Here's the takeaway. Love shouldn't mean giving up your independence or security. Sacrifices in marriage are real, but so is the need to protect yourself, especially when the stakes are high. Would you quit a well-paying $170K job with zero safety net just to please family traditions? It's easy to say yes until it's your future on the line. Sometimes standing your ground is the bravest act of love. So, what would you do if faced with this impossible choice? Fold or fight for your worth?